5-star defensive lineman, and I think Oklahoma's standout to be David Stone has withdrawn his name from the transfer portal. Let's talk about what that means for Oklahoma, what that means for college football. What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching the #1 college football show, welcome. Thank you for joining us here. We talk college football year round, so if that is something you're into, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like this video, and answer this question in the comments below. Did you think that I was right to wait to react to David Stone entering the transfer portal, as I had said yesterday when I was going, hey, I wanted to take a little time, do a little bit of digging, doing a little bit of sniffing around before I reacted to David Stone entering the transfer portal, because it didn't feel like just another entry into the transfer portal. I gave some background. He wanted to stay. There was some miscommunication. There are some things he needs to do to grow up. There are some ways in which you could build a better apparatus to take care of David Stone at Oklahoma. And one of those things, could be what money you're going to make. But given his talent and given how much he could develop and given how hard it is to find 5-star defensive tackles, Oklahoma needed to do whatever was necessary to try to get this man back within reason, right? I say whatever was necessary within reason. Both of those things feel like absolutes. But my point here is simply, if there was a way to rebuild and reclaim this relationship, you should. This was not a regular divorce to me. This was, I don't feel appreciated. I feel underappreciated. I feel undervalued. And this is someone else going, you know what? There might be something to that. There absolutely might be something to that. Let's talk about this. Let's see what we can't figure out. Meanwhile, we had a lot of folks that were just out here yelling about a pay cut. It's not that simple. It's really not that simple. The folks that would like to draw a corollary between, or a comparison, not a corollary, a comparison between Nico Iamaleava and David Stone would be wrong here. I believe that you're talking about a guy that wanted to be at Oklahoma, wanted to develop at Oklahoma, and was going to have an opportunity to really showcase his talent going into a season where OU has to get back to playing the kind of ball that we came to expect from them in the 2010s. The kind that leads to championships, the kind that leads to playing in the college football playoff, the kind that leads to #1, #2, #3 overall picks. I would be remiss if I did not recall to you that Gerald McCoy came out of Oklahoma. He was one of the best defensive linemen in the sport, and he had a great career in the NFL, and David Stone reminds me so much of his talent. And knowing that Stone was going to get to play in a defense that is coordinated by Brent Venables, let alone a head coach by Brent Venables, and then Todd Bates, defensive line coach, who was at Clemson when he had, my goodness, Christian Wilkins, Austin Bryant, Dexter Lawrence, like Cleveland Farrell. You could go through the list of guys that these two men have coached over the last 20 years and come out with a who's who of defensive linemen that can just go. And David Stone feels like the next guy in that pipeline to make it happen. Finding a way to keep him at Oklahoma, I think, is just, it speaks to what the university is about. It speaks to what he is about. It speaks to what they want to accomplish. He was the #1 player available in the transfer portal up until, right? Signed as a top 10 recruit overall in 2024 class. The true freshman year didn't go the way that anybody wanted it to go, but this was going to be a year in which he could absolutely break out, and a year in which they would need him to, frankly. I often say you go out of your way to get offensive linemen and get defensive linemen that can play, particularly at the tackle positions on the offensive line and at the tackle positions on the defensive line, because the good Lord just doesn't make them that fast, that big, that strong, that agile as often as we would like to play this game that we love. They are the guys you really do have to look after. Outside of the quarterback, go get me defensive linemen and offensive tackles that can play, and I can fill out the rest of the football team with guys that I think can go do it. You can get a running back off the street. You can get a wide receiver off the street. You can get a cornerback off the street. But once in a generation defensive linemen, once in a generation quarterbacks, once in a generation safeties, these are the kind of men that you really do want to hold on to for dear life. There has to be something here that is irreparable for you to feel as if it's no longer viable. I also want to credit Sooner Scoop. I mean, George did a great job sussing out this story before I did, frankly. They were also the only group of people that didn't jump the gun on what David Stone may or may not do, other than myself. But that just kind of speaks to that place. For those of y'all that don't know, a long time ago, feels like another world I worked at Sooner Scoop. I worked for Carey. I covered men's basketball and football coming out of grad school. Straight off my the Oklahoman internship that I had at Sports Desk. This is back 2012 when OKC made the finals, and it was James Harden, and it was Kevin Durant, and it was Russell Westbrook, and it was Serge Ibaka. It was Nazir Muhammad. I had such a good time. But again, a world away. Great to see they're still doing great stuff over there on 3. I was working on when they were at Rivals. But knowing that David Stone is back also gives you a little bit of better foundation, I think, for both Brent Venables and Jim Nagy and Todd Bates. This is an absolute win for a guy that put his name in the portal on Friday and had pulled it out before the weekend is over. Again, sometimes the squeaky wheel needs to get the grease. And in this way, they made sure that the squeaky wheel absolutely got the grease. And again, it's 5-star talent that would have been wanted anywhere he wanted to go in the country. That is from the University of Georgia on down, Ohio State, Michigan, Oregon. You could throw a name out there and you could give me an argument and I would accept it about where David Stone could play football. That he chooses to play football at a program where the standard was not met. Go 6-7. You lose your Armed Forces Bowl game to Navy, but you had shown an ability to compete at a high level when you knock off a previously number 1 ranked Alabama, punch them all the way out of the playoffs, all the way out of the SEC championship game late in November after having fired the offensive coordinator and played musical chairs at the quarterback position. Feels like the quarterback position gets fixed with John Mateer. Feels like the offensive coordinator gets fixed with Ben Arbuckle. Feels like the defense is going to take a step in the right direction forward with Brent Venables calling the plays. And again, it's what you're selling, right? We all know that the kids want to get paid. You want to get paid. I want to get paid. We all want to get paid. What you also want is a family. You want someone that's going to wrap their arms around you when it's not easy, when it is hard, and you want a place where your fundamentals matter. Like one of the things that Brent Venables has said over and over again, he needs elite play, and elite play just means consistency. That's all that means. It means that you are consistently operating at a high level. Not too high, not too low, but you are dependable because you're working your fundamentals. So when it comes to crunch time, you know exactly what you're going to do. You're going to fire off the ball. You're going to hit your swim move, or you're going to hit your speed rush, or you're going to hit your bull rush because that's your move, and you're going to go to work. Being able to rely on, hey, put your feet here, put your hands here, making those fundamentals work for guys that have a talent is everything, right? I say this is more often than I would like to, but it doesn't cost anything to outwork someone. It doesn't, right? It maybe it costs you a little extra time, but in as far as your effort is immeasurable. Talent is measurable. We have ways to measure it, size, speed, all of that. But if you can combine a relentless capacity to compete, a relentless capacity to show effort, an attitude that says, no, you will break before I do, with talent, my gosh, there's nothing in the world you can't do. There's nothing in the world you can't do. But I am going to say this, because I don't think this part is said as often as you can do anything that you set your mind to. You can do anything you set your mind to at the expense of everything else. It ain't about how bad you want it. It's about what are you willing to give up to get it. And I think for Oklahoma and David Stone, we're getting to find out, yeah, they both want it, so go get it.